All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Connor Unchained. Let's cover the market. A bunch of stuff happening. Bitcoin nuking, taking a massive dip, bringing everything with it. Let's cover some altcoins. Let's cover some narratives. A bunch of thoughts just on the overall market right now, on the market today. Let's check stuff out. Because like I said, we got Bitcoin coming down. Biggest thing that I've been watching with Bitcoin for the last, month maybe is this trend right here. If you kind of zoom in, my bad. If you kind of zoom in and, you see Bitcoin here, it's kind of trending on this. It has finally broke through. And if we actually zoom in, it kind of just broke and fully retested with zero issue and straight nuke below a high time frame, all-time high support, flipping it to now resistance. This to me could potentially be somewhat bearish in the short term, meaning if price is going to come down, I might chop, bounce, and do the same thing that it did right there, but with this entire resistance, area here. But I'm not saying, Bitcoin's over. It's going to dump completely here. Obviously, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see over the next 24 hours if it wants to reclaim and bounce, flip this bearish momentum back into bullish, showing us that it wants to start trending back up again, something like that. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, it is bringing everything down with it right now. Because, even Sol, same exact thing. ETH is, for some reason, the only coin that actually doesn't look horrible at the moment. Because you can't really draw that same kind of setup as Sol and Bitcoin there. But, this momentum on ETH is still technically on the uptrend, or in an uptrend I would probably consider this a smaller time frame here. Chart actually looks very good, like it still wants to go to breakout. But everything relies on Bitcoin. So outside of Bitcoin, we got BitSensor, Virtual, Hype, which I'm a huge proponent of all three of those. All three of those are same thing, coming down a bit. Virtual had a crazy launch today on Solus. Shout out to anyone who got into that. That was massive. BitSensor holding, but it looks like it wants to come down. It might actually want to come back down to mid threes, maybe retest that. Where is Virtual here? Virtual is actually holding a similar chart to what I mentioned before, which is kind of like this uptrend here. But we'll see if price wants to reject and heavily push to the downside and completely break this uptrend here. There's no full out telling what will happen with it. But anyways, we'll cover a bunch of altcoins as well. So we got Launchcoin. This meta is something I've been watching for a while now. But, this is taking a turbo nuke. If Launchcoin, which is the literal leader of this sector, absolutely dumping like crazy, every single other coin within this little sector is likely going to be dumping as well. There are a bunch of different coins that we brought up in Discord. I'll bring up a couple that personally I'm very bullish on within this sector. But the strength of this is actually going to come from Launchcoin actually, one, pumping, moving up, and two, a lot of the FUD and all this stuff happening within it finally gets resolved, and they figure out what the best path forward is. If you guys are not familiar, it's launched by someone named Ben Pasternak. But he has been, I guess there's been some FUD or something for a while. And it is, obviously it's taken a hit for the entire narrative in and of itself. But regardless, like I said, I'm still someone to believe in this, even though this entire ecosystem is dumping like crazy. My thesis has just been, I think, a combination of whatever you want to call it, Appcoins or coins that just have a lot of catering towards Web 2, but also have some sort of Web3 integration with it as well, is something I've been focusing on for a while. Something I do believe in some way, shape, or form will become a lot larger than just what Launchcoin did. Obviously Launchcoin had a huge pump for a week, but I believe that these have a lot more room to grow, especially if you got major, people that just aren't even in the crypto space, true AI developers or true developers of different applications, things like that, almost coming into crypto in a very organic way, using coins, crypto, to bootstrap a lot of their liquidity for their launches, for their platforms. It's a whole new avenue for a lot of developers that aren't in crypto at all, right? It's a new avenue for a lot of developers to actually start implementing and making money versus going, different traditional routes. I think it's such an interesting concept, even though at the end of the day, I do think Launchcoin here is legit just like, it's a Twitter bot where you can launch a coin, and they're building a whole platform behind it. But again, it's the kind of idea behind this entire ecosystem or narrative, which is why I'm so bullish. That's also why I call them like Appcoins, because they're legitimate Web 2 developers, I guess, for most of these coins, almost jumping into Web 3, just launching a coin. But they're fully focused on building their products, even though a lot of them now, because they have a token out, I feel like a lot of them now potentially have focused on their token and trying to do things for the community and stuff, taking in that feedback. But some of the best coins in the sector, I think, are going to bounce back very hard if this stuff can get figured out and or fixed, changed, whatever you want to call it. Some things like Dupe here. Dupe, I think, is one of the most, not the most, but one of the larger ones. Dupe, Fitcoin, things that I like, I've brought up in multiple videos, but same thing, it's like they've just been kind of chopping, there are days where they nuked, one of my other videos, this thing just nuked from literally the day after, kind of recovered, and now it's back down. It's very questionable and shaky where this narrative is, but nonetheless, super bullish on this entire narrative or little sector, at least on Sol. A lot more, we got Glimpse here, we got PQ, Buddy. Uber ended up going straight to zero. This was actually insane to me. Unbelievable how terrible this coin ended up doing. This is down like 90-something% now. Just wild, guys. That's why crypto is a literal Wild West still. Trying to think too, what else? There's a couple other things I wanted to cover. Because we had Solus. Solus by Virtual launch like crazy. This mechanism has been very good for profits, I think, within the Virtuals ecosystem. But the thing too that I've thought about, which I think in crypto, obviously we're all here to make money. I don't think anyone's going to complain if they're making crazy money, right? But when it comes down to developers, this is a tokenized system for profits. This is not a tokenized system that even remotely targets developers. As for a developer building something like this, 95% of people even looking at your project are buying it to make money off of it. Thing is, though, is I think there are going to be a lot of these Virtuals launches, that people are looking at now to make money right off launch, which again is going to be normal. I think it's great for investors, especially most people, to get allocation and to jump into these. But the biggest thing to focus on is waiting for these to dump to literal zero, and then to look back into a lot of these launches, see if these projects are actually still building something, still developing, still working on anything, right? Because when it comes down to crypto, regardless of how a coin launches, most of the time they're going to launch, price will chop, it will die out. This is the true area where you have to time test a coin. The 1 month, the 2 months, the 3 months when a coin launches, sits sideways and does nothing. Is that team going all in when price is doing absolutely nothing, sitting sideways? Or do they just completely abandon the project? Or is it over? Or are they just a LARP, a scam, some BS? That is my strategy in this market most of the time with really anything, any narrative, any meta. I rarely will jump into stuff based on launch. Again, something like this virtual system I think is incredible for investors. Um, but I mean, if I was trying to look for certain coins, off launch like day one, usually I will wait for a coin to launch, let its hype die out at first, and then check back into whatever the project is, whatever utility it is, see if they're still building, working, grinding. That is going to be the best strategy, I think, for anyone who is not participating in these launches to be focusing on 100%. So I think that's going to be very important. This is not just for Solus. This is for, every single virtuals token that exists right now. Because there are a lot of strong projects building, a lot of OG projects also within the virtuals ecosystem that the last month, obviously haven't gotten any attention or traction at all. Even another one too is AIXBT. We just saw this thing just dropped an absolute bomb in a good way, and people don't even realize it. RXB. Is that even the right website? I don't think that's the right website. What? That's weird. But AIXBT just opened up. I think I gotta go to the right here. They just opened up their terminal for anyone and everyone to be able to use it. And the feedback that I've seen from a lot of people that have used this is actually very, very good. This is something I think a lot of people will sleep on, is the actual AIXBT agent terminal. This thing, it seems like the developer behind this is cracked. Like I said, I saw a lot of feedback on Twitter. People are very bullish on excuse me. People are very bullish on this. Very bullish on the purple frog here. But also even with the mind share it has too, it's it seems like it's a very good way where, someone like me, it's like I'll wake up, if I'm scanning the market, I will scroll through Twitter sometimes for 10 minutes, sometimes for 3 hours, looking up, researching just different things that are happening in the market, to obviously new projects, stuff like that. But an AIXBT terminal, just for like a simple thing, some things that it does is it basically does an entire market scan consistently whenever you need it to. It goes over all this different stuff. You can even just scroll through AIXBT agent's feed, and it's like you get a lot of different information you normally would not see in the market. It happens to me all the time, where it's like if I'm just scrolling, he'll get recommended on my feed for some random airdrop, some random DeFi project, or even things in like sectors that I personally just do not focus on whatsoever. Things like that. This is something I think people are sleeping on, is this terminal. And obviously, like I said, a lot of OG virtual projects are still killing it with development. But yet, obviously, it's not hyped because people are not making 100, 200x's off, these old projects. But definitely somewhere to pay attention. It's like even something as simple as AIXBT. Granted, Bitcoin doesn't nuke to, 60K in the next month, right? And, the market just doesn't die out. Taking bets like that, man, I'm like losing my voice. Taking calculated bets on strong utility, especially when there's not as much attention on it, is huge. But like I said, virtuals ecosystem still killing it. And when I say that, new launches have been going crazy on it, but also there's a lot of OG utility projects you legit could be rotating profits into and just sitting with. Another thing too, guys, is I brought this up on the channel. It shows like how close I am to the camera. I brought this up a few times. O'Hara AI. This shit I think is really solid. Um, with O'Hara AI though, it is a platform. I brought it up multiple times. It's a platform where you can vibe code any sort of application. You can vibe code anything you want, have a token launch with it. And the thing is too is there is a platform called Pure Markets or pure.st here. Within this platform, you actually can trade these tokens. And a lot of these tokens, so keep in mind though, Pure Markets here, this is not just O'Hara AI tokens. There's a lot of different other platforms on Base that this integrates as well. So keep in mind that half these tokens, unless they have the created on O'Hara ticker and symbol here, they could be from different platforms. Like there's another platform right there called Long. So that is not an O'Hara token. It's something, I don't even know what it is. It could be something complete rug. Like, I don't know. Like what the hell is this? Yeah, I don't know what's happening, but in my opinion, this looks like it wants to be, I don't know. I don't want to say this is like a new potential area to be looking to trench in, but like this looks like a literal minefield of just rugs and stuff. But nonetheless, pretty interesting stuff. This is a platform though. I've used this, connected my wallet to. I've used this to buy certain O'Hara AI coins. You can use this, or if you just have the contracts for different tokens within the O'Hara AI platform, you can always just go to Dex Screener. And I brought this up too, is on Twitter, I tweeted about it, but what's interesting is this Hello World coin. So obviously I'm a huge bull on this platform, O'Hara specifically, but they've launched this token. So keep in mind, this is not an official project token by any means, but Hello World here is the official token of the first launched Appcoin within this platform. So in my opinion, it's almost like an official, unofficial meme coin for Hello World, or I'm sorry, for O'Hara AI. Like I said, it's not like an official utility token for the project. Like, it's not like if you buy Hello World, you get crazy access to this and that. So make sure you understand that. And this is not even to shill it, because, initially we ended up, I kind of brought this up back here in the past, ended up running, but, this is something I'm just starting to pay attention to again because it's down. But obviously, I'd love to see a real utility token come out of this project. I would literally full port this if they had it, not Hello World again. If they had an official protocol token for it, I would full port this. But this is just the kind of mindset and ideas that I've been having with just the market overall. So that's what I wanted to cover. It's kind of just an overview of the Appcoin, all this different kind of meta, ICM meta, and just overall market overview too. I wanted to cover Rei as well. Sorry, I forgot I wanted to cover this again. Rei is still holding very well. I think this is just a gem of an AI project, guys, and it is sitting at 50 million, 57, but technically I say 50 because it looks like it wants to come back down. I don't know if this level here is going to hold. Could come down even lower, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does either both hold or just nukes a lot lower. But it's going to come down to what ETH does, what Bitcoin does, what everything does over the next few days. So keep that in mind. But yeah, Rei's a powerhouse. They're still in beta for their platform. But it's like a lot of people are even comparing it to like ChatGPT and all this stuff. The sentiment on Rei is just insane to me. I think it's very good. So this is definitely one of my top AI gems, I would say, for right now in the market for a long-term play. Like the coin I just brought up, Hello World, guys, I wouldn't be just buying it to buy it. This is high risk. It's basically a meme coin for this platform. It's not an official token or anything. Just giving you guys a lot of research and information on stuff I've been watching or new things that I am watching. But outside of that, that is what I wanted to cover today with the overall market. In the next couple days here, guys, I'm going to be dropping a lot of different videos on coins and different narratives that I either A, hold, or B, am just super bullish on. When it comes down to it, from SocialFi, we got DeSci, decentralized science, to, this kind of ICM, whatever narrative you want to call it, Appcoins, to more AI, different things, even robotics, like new narratives that most people are not paying attention to. That is when I will pay attention. And that is what I want to show you guys, is jumping into a lot of coins that I'm really bullish on, that have bottomed out charts, that are actually at good entries, things like that. So a lot of individual coin videos are going to be coming probably over the next few days, next week. I'm going to have at least 3 or 4 of them dropping soon. So that is what I wanted to get into today with the video. That is what is coming this week for the channel. But outside of that, guys, I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.